Hey, what's up everyone? Ting here, physical therapist with Physical Therapy and Balance Centers. And today we're going to talk about carpal tunnel syndrome and the best exercises you can do for it. So most people know about the median nerve stretch, which is like that for carpal tunnel syndrome. But what we're going to show you today is 3 variations of that stretch, when to do the different variations for what particular type of carpal tunnel syndrome, because if you do it for the wrong condition, it might actually make you worse. So stay tuned. And if you do happen to like this video and you want more content from us, please subscribe to our channel, like our video here, and feel free to visit our website, physical.com/Hazleton for more information. Okay, so for carpal tunnel syndrome, one of the best exercises you can actually do is to stretch your median nerve. But with carpal tunnel syndrome, what a lot of people don't know is that there's 3 different types or variations of carpal tunnel syndrome that can happen, and for each variation of carpal tunnel syndrome you may want to do the stretch in a different way, because if you do it the wrong way it will, like I said earlier, make you worse. So today what we're going to do is show you the 3 different types. So variation number 1 of carpal tunnel syndrome is when there's actually a little bit of a compression at the carpal tunnel itself, which happens here. So just a little bit of compression on the nerve with no actual nerve injury or damage to the lining of the nerve either. So in this case, what you want to do is what we call a slider, glider, or other people may know as flossing of the median nerve. So to be able to do a flossing or a slider glider, what you want to do is not put the carpal tunnel nerve on stretch itself, but you want to be able to loosen it, like stretch it on one end, and then tug it like you're trying to pull that rope in and out. Okay, so just like I'm doing, the actual stretch of the carpal tunnel nerve is like this. What you want to do is shorten one segment, like tilt your head back, so that's going to allow that nerve to travel that way, and then tilt your head the other way. At the same time, bend your wrist. It's going to allow that rope to pull this way, and if you alternate, you're getting that sliding of the carpal tunnel nerve in and out of the carpal tunnel, which can help loosen any compressions in the carpal tunnel itself. Variation number 2 occurs when you have more than just a compression on the nerve itself, but now you're dealing with what we call a myelin injury. Myelin is the lining of the nerve itself, and in the milder cases of carpal tunnel syndrome, that lining may actually be irritated or damaged. In these cases, the actual nerve itself is not damaged, which you need to be sure of, and the variation of the stretch to do in this case is an actual tensioner of the nerve itself, which is the classical stretch. So with the classical stretch, what you want to do is just have your elbow out to the side like this, straighten your arm, tilt your hand down, and then lean your head the opposite direction. And in this position, you should feel a nice little pull along the carpal tunnel itself into the fingers. What you don't want is for your symptoms to increase by more than about 2 out of 10 on a scale of pain. So with this stretch, what you want to do is put it on stretch, ease it up by coming back, and then put it on stretch again, ease it up by coming back, and then put it on stretch again. So that is your classical carpal tunnel median nerve stretch, and in those cases, be sure to do it only when you have myelin damage instead of axonal or the nerve damage itself. Which brings us back to now to the more severe case of carpal tunnel syndrome, and in this case, not only the outer lining of the nerve is irritated or damaged, but now you have the nerve itself being damaged. So in this case, what you don't want to do is stretch that nerve, because the nerve itself is damaged like a rope that's weakened, and if you stretch it too much, you can actually weaken that nerve or make the damage worse. So in this case, you want to do what we call a relaxer stretch. And a relaxer stretch is actually a stretch of the carpal tunnel on the other side. So what we're going to do in this case is place the nerve on stretch on the left side, saying the problem is on my right. And when I put the nerve on stretch on the left side, it's going to take up the tension off the right side, which will help relax the nerve on the right side. So if you have axon damage, what you want to do is have your right arm in like a relaxed position with the elbow bent, and then put the stretch onto your left side. So I'm going to tension that left side like I did on the right side, and then do that to help relax the carpal tunnel nerve on the right side. Okay, so a couple of tips on those stretches themselves. When you do them, like I said earlier, don't have an increase of pain or symptoms by more than about 2 out of 10, because these nerves are very irritable and you don't want to irritate them more by doing too much. 2, you want to try and aim for around about 3 sets of 10. At the end of the 3rd set of 10, you want to be able to feel it a little bit, but you obviously don't want the symptoms to increase significantly. And the last tip I want to tell you guys about is when you have an acute case, you want to start with the body part that's furthest away from the carpal tunnel in terms of doing the stretch. So in acute cases, what you want to do is you want to tilt your neck first before you lift your arm up, before you start your elbow movement, before you start the wrist movement. So the wrist movement might be lost. What that does is it allows the tension to be increased in the neck region and less in the wrist. But if you have a chronic case of carpal tunnel syndrome, you'll do exactly opposite. So what you want to do is do the wrist first, extend the elbow, lift the arm, and then tilt the neck. And what that does is it creates more tension in the wrist itself and less tension on the furthest part of the nerve. So if you remember that there's 3 different variations of carpal tunnel syndrome, 3 different cases of stretches, and knowing when to stretch for what condition is going to be extremely important, because if you do the wrong stretch, you might actually be making the nerve itself worse, which will obviously make your symptoms worse. So if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, not sure what you should be doing, please visit your physical therapist. Give us a call here at FYZICAL Hazleton. We have diagnostic testing here, including ultrasounds. We have EMGs and nerve conduction studies where we can actually see the extent of the damage to your carpal tunnel and really guide you to the right types of stretches you should be doing. Don't forget, visit our website, physical.com/Hazleton, to learn more information.